Will Whitehorn, President of Virgin Galactic. Briefly tell us about the announcement you made today.
Well, today we announced really one of our first scientific collaboration that is going to happen in reality during the experimental program. We've obviously been talking to NASA in the past, and NASA have issued an RFI now for suborbital space science, and we are also looking at the possibility of doing astronaut training with various agencies. And the deal with NOAA today is actually going to go on to the experimental program. And that's on a no exchange of funds basis under the FAA rules that exist for the experimental programs for aircraft and for FAA AST. What it means is that NOAA are going to be able to put some instruments onto White Knight 2 initially, and then onto Spaceship 2, which will allow them to measure both the carbon dioxide and the methane content of the upper atmosphere above 25,000 feet. So most of NOAA's instruments on aircraft are up to 25,000 feet only. They do quite a lot of balloon testing above that, but very little aircraft testing, because there's a very little regular flight by something that could be put in one place and get data for them above that altitude. We're going to be able to give them data up to the ionosphere for both carbon dioxide and methane, and also we're going to carry flasks on board which will measure a range of up to 40 atmospheric gases. Those flasks, when we land at Scale Composites in Mojave, will then be returned to NOAA in Boulder, where they'll be able to analyse those. Now, this is going to be one part of their atmospheric testing program. They've got a lot of stuff going on. But there is one specific other purpose for this, related to a space project that NOAA and NASA are doing next year, called the OCO satellite. The OCO satellite is the Orbiting Carbon Observatory, which is specifically being designed to do research on the amount of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. Now, what this can help with, as well as adding to their normal data pool that they have for various greenhouse gases and other gases in the atmosphere, is that this project, with the way we're going to be flying it, can actually, over the next 2 years, through the experimental program and into commerciality, become actually a calibration device for the satellite.
Okay, you mentioned NASA there in a suborbital program. Can you talk about what that might eventually involve if it happens?
Well, really, this is NASA's ball game at the moment. What NASA has done in this latest appropriation round is they issued an RFI and have appropriated some budget for universities to come forward with suborbital science projects which will be suitable for a vehicle like this. While they are also looking at future launch opportunities with Spaceship 2, they're going to look at what they may do in astronaut training in the future. The RFI is specific to suborbital science, which could involve also carrying scientists up into space. And this was a program that has come from a couple of different parts of NASA, and we will find out the results of that when not only have we gone through an RFI process for providing services, but they've had universities in the United States and overseas come back with a range of experimental ideas for experiments in microgravity or other experiments that the vehicles could be used for.
Okay, so lots of work in terms of developing the system for different applications, and you had the flight test program ahead of you. When can the public expect to see it fly over them in an air show or some other event in the near future? When can they see it for real in the flesh?
Well, the one thing I'm pretty sure of about White Knight is if the public happen to see it flying somewhere near Mojave, they'll recognise it. It is a unique looking aircraft. I can only picture in my head really, and from digitisation, what it looks like in the air, but if it's as extraordinary as it looks on the ground, people will notice it. Now, the first time that people could go to an event where they're pretty much certain it's going to be there will hopefully be Oshkosh next year, where we will plan to fly White Knight 2 in during the beginning of the air show, and maybe even demonstrate one or two of its capabilities by then. It depends how advanced the flying program is at that stage. But clearly its 6G flying capability and its 0G parabola capability could make it quite an exciting aircraft at an air show. The public may, who happen to live in New Mexico, get a chance to see it even before that. Clearly Spaceport America is being constructed in New Mexico, and we do need to do long proving flights because of the range capabilities of the craft and what we might want to do with it with the spaceship attached. So it is possible that before we get to Oshkosh, it will have earlier than that been to Albuquerque or Las Cruces in New Mexico. So it's something to watch out for in the first half of next year down in that part of the desert.
Okay, thanks very much. Will Whitehorn, President of Virgin Galactic. Thanks to all.